saw this space and we realized there is an immense potential between creator fan monetization. We worked with influencers a lot. Influencers were not even called influencers back then. When you target pan India, your benchmarks are if Flipkart is doing an advertisement in English in Karnataka, half of the people may not understand true message. But once it's in Kannada, these creators would collect money over Google Pay, a QR code or a UPI ID. Then he will ask for a screenshot, and the creator would himself be afraid of growth. Still, the largest section of the Indian population is still not comfortable. If I tell my parents I'm planning to buy Coldplay tickets, 20k, why are you spending on a concert ticket?
Welcome to Hustle for Fame, a podcast about creators and creator economy in India. If you're a marketer, creator, or an agency, this is right up for you. In today's episode, we have Ananya from Rigi joining us. Hey, hi, Ananya.
Hi.
So, Ananya, this is very interesting when I was looking at your profile, right? First thing is, you had Hala Play, which is a startup in the real money game space. From there, you shifted to creator economy. That space is a $1 billion opportunity in India, whereas this was comparatively smaller in size, right? What made you take that decision?
So, first of all, thanks for having me here. So, when we started off in 2017, fantasy sports was not very popular. If you would ask me how many people in India would play fantasy sports, the number and people who would play it for money, it was even smaller. At max, you would say 3, 4 odd million people. In terms of India's population, that's just negligible. Right now, the space has close to 200 odd million users. So when we started off, we worked with influencers a lot. Influencers were not even called influencers back then. These were guys who were creating YouTube videos. They were just sharing their experience. They found YouTube as a medium of expression. They could just come online. There was no hard editing and everything. So they would just come there, make content about games and everything, and pre-match shows, but more related to fantasy sports. And that's when we used to work with them a lot. How they can be, how they would just inspire people to join a particular platform. That was our growth hack. Back then, it wasn't so formalized as influencer marketing, but yeah. So that was our growth hack. We used to work with these community owners, these YouTubers. Instagram was still private thing. So that happened. And with time, what we realized, these guys have immense pull on their audience. And they could actually help you ease out a lot of decisions, which could be in a fantasy game related to picking the right set of players. But also, what we've seen over time is figuring out which places to visit, what to eat, which joints to hang out in a particular city. So they were influencing us left, right, and center. And in COVID, we saw they actually make helping you to pick investment decisions too.
Yeah.
The creators out there who make great investment advice and how to manage your money. So while we were working there, we were looking at a buyout. One of our investors was actually moving out, going IPO, Nazara. So they gave us an opportunity to move out, and we saw this space concurrently, and we realized there is an immense potential between creator fan monetization that can be really become big, because we saw the next decade for influencers and social media, to be honest. And that's how Rigi started in. And yeah, that's how that's how we saw content creators really up close, and what made us take this plunge.
Sure. So, what's fascinating is those creators that just came out and said they were unfiltered. Now you see all of them moving to just a doctored form of short video content, right?
Yeah.
How do you see this transition that's happening? Because you were there, right there, where everything was raw, unfiltered, and to now where everything's like, come, it starts, right? So, what is your take on
So,
that?
see, honestly, there are still people. Once, once someone cracks it nice, people are bound to follow. But if you have to stay ahead in the game, you will always have to iterate and make yourself better. So there's still people who. I'll give you an example. There is this trucker guy. He drives trucks all day, and he makes engaging content. I sometimes would just having food will have just open up my YouTube and watch his content, and that's still that raw, unfiltered content still is there. But what I also see is these guys are evolving in their own ways, even though they might get that finesse, and someone will copy someone else also, and that's why you see everyone same. But those guys who keep on evolving their content according to the needs of the platform and their audience without losing the connect with that audience. See, if you are copying someone, you have to do it smartly. Otherwise, you'll not make that bond with the audience also.
Correct.
So, moving towards the short format is a good thing, but it gives you these platforms give you immense discovery. But I still feel long format content has the shelf life of the content is very high.
Sure.
You can still always search it. You might host a podcast today. Someone might see it 2 years later also and still derive value out of
Value
it.
out of it. Correct.
But that cannot happen in short form content. So long form is here to stay.
Sure.
But it's made short format has made discovery of newer and newer content creators supremely easy. So-
Essentially, the way in which I understand what you're saying is short form is your top of funnel, while
long format is going to be where you as a content creator also make more money.
Sure. Obviously, yeah. So another interesting part of this, right? So from back then in 2017 to now, there's this huge burgeoning middle class of creators that come in, right? But they don't necessarily get the same opportunities as, let's say, creators of their follower range got some time back. So how do you see this evolving, right? That's this major inequality. The power law is 80-20, but here it's maybe 95-5. So
See, 3 years back, 1 million was a very hard number.
yeah.
If you had a silver play button on a YouTube, it was considered an achievement. Now, so many people have it that just drawn away a charm of it. It's reduced the charm. Now, gold play buttons are the benchmark. So, with more and more people coming into the fray, the benchmarks are always going to improve. It says happens in the startup world also. Someone did something like Facebook did a growth hack for universities and all that in 2007. You can't do the same thing.
Same thing, correct.
You can't build a Facebook like company today with the same playbook.
Yeah.
You can get inspired from it, but you will have to make your own playbook. So, and the metrics will also be better now because let's say Facebook had 1,000 users, it was considered amazing.
Yeah.
But today, 1,000 users you can get for marketing as well because distributions are now more sought out. So, with time, the metrics for evaluation will keep on increasing. And this power law will exist also, a skewed power law, because the top 1% hold way too much sway than the class in between.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they are being, they're still getting rewarded, but not as much as they would have preferred.
Sure.
The market is the demand is also increased, but obviously, if the tier 2-ish content opportunities you'll get will not be that rewarding.
Sure. So then this whole spurge of your vernacular content that's sort of coming across, right? Say, like you pointed out, tier 2. How do you see that evolving into the future in terms of monetization opportunities, right? One in terms of brands and other in terms of even what Rigi does in terms of courses, monetizing the communities. Where do you see that?
See, vernacular content creators I've seen, our experience with last 3 years has been that these guys have so much more pull. Like when you target a pan India, your benchmarks are different. But when you target a particular language, let's say you speak Telugu, so you have just 2 states predominantly in your fray, but your pull towards your audience is way higher. And that's amazing. People would make the same thing. The benchmarks will change.
Correct.
You can't be evaluated for someone who is doing 500,000 in Hindi because his audience is pan India.
Correct.
It's so
Yeah.
spread out very thinly.
Yeah.
But someone with 100K, his audience is so concentrated.
Yeah.
So a 500K guy and a 100K guy can be paid equally,
Hmm.
despite the numbers variation, because his audience is more concentrated, and there'll be brands who will be focusing on those geographies. Then they will prefer those guys, because a spread out audience is not always great for brands to work with. So that's something I feel कि vernacular and niche based content creators will see a major upsurge in the coming days, both in terms of community monetization as well as brand work.
Sure. So you're saying it's essentially a case of supply and demand, where
Yeah,
the
yeah,
supply
yeah,
is
yeah.
less than
The supply of vernacular creators is so less.
less.
Well, if I ask you right now, give me 50 Odia creators, you'll not be whose predominant language is Odia.
Odia, huh?
You'll not be able to name one.
Correct.
Versus if I ask you Telugu, you might name one or two,
Yeah.
and Hindi, you might name 100.
Correct.
The list is endless, right? So the supply is still very less, and that's where money is going to be made.
So interesting you mentioned that, right? Let's say if I look at this from a brand point of view, I will invest more, or let's say I'll pay more to a creator only when I know the ROI that I get out from that activity is more. So what I mean by ROI is not essentially the same activity yielding me results, but let's say over a course of time,
Yes.
will that geography, or let's say will the per capita of that geography allow me to recoup that money, let's say in the next 6 months,
Yes.
8 months, whatever it is.
So if you see how a brand functions, typically brands would always focus on geographies.
Huh.
There'll be some brands who'll be just focusing on metro areas. There'll be some brands just focusing on Bombay. There'll be some brands. Let's say, for example, Zepto focus initially only on Bombay.
Correct.
So if they had an influencer who would just be popular in Bombay, and in that age segment where their TG rise, they will be willing to pay more because they will get unsolicited
Correct.
queries, right? Ki, oh, I'm in Delhi,
Huh.
Zepto is not there. So
Correct.
better is if I have a geography that's concentrated. So for a brand to function is even better.
Got it.
And not all brands are pan India.
Correct.
Sometimes you just focus on a geography for a marketing campaign.
Correct.
Ki this is, and it gives you advantage of making your content also vernacular in the brand space also. Let's say if Flipkart is doing an advertisement in English in Karnataka, what will happen is half of the people may not understand the
Correct.
true message.
Yeah.
But once it's in Kannada, then the audience is much more in.
Yeah, they'll lap it
Huh?
up.
And we Indians are little. We love when someone talks to us in our native language.
Yeah.
Matlab, if a brand comes and talks to me in English versus a brand comes and talks to me in my mother language, the pull is different. The connect is far faster.
So earlier it was a case, right? Let's say if I'm a vernacular creator, I'm in a sense forced to talk either in English or in Hindi, just so I cater to a wider audience. Now let's say if I'm again taking Nikhil Kamat's example, if I'm a 15-year-old vernacular creator based out of Belgavi in Karnataka, what do you think are the things that I should be doing? Let's say in the next course of 3-4 years.
See, fundamentally, you should focus vernacular. Vernacular plus some bit of understanding of a national language, either English or Hindi, which has more
Wider reach.
wider reach, I think does the trick. Focus on the niche. Don't go just thinking. Let's say we have a conversation. Just don't do infotainment. Do infotainment, maybe just pick your niche as startups. Startups, maybe if you can pick a niche like start venture backed startups. So people who will follow you will be less, but your content will be so much enriching. One, it'll have substance. Two, the audience will be more loving because they won't find this content at many places.
Correct.
Right now on YouTube, you can search anything.
Huh.
But if how to raise funding for a D2C brand is in Kannada, you will not get many search results.
Correct.
So if you have figured out your niche plus a vernacular, the audience will be less, but the results will be very high. The engagement rates, everything on your content will be very high.
Lovely. So when you talk about engagement rates and an engaged community there, right? Let's say I have a group, an engaged group of Telegram folks that I manage. So how can Rigi help me monetize these set of users for me?
So Rigi's core proposition is you've become an influencer. You know, okay, I have these eyeballs, and but my content adds value to you. So what we do is we will create a platform for you where it is a paywall. Eyeballs you're getting on Instagram, you do Instagram, you get in the top of the funnel. But that paywall is where you make money. Instagram will not give you money. It will give you, but very
Sure,
peanut money.
sure.
Here, if 100 people pay you 1,000 bucks or 1,000 people pay you 100 bucks, that's 1 lakh rupees.
Yeah.
From an Instagram payout, that will be way too later.
Yeah.
Typically on a YouTube, you'll need 5 million views, if I'm not wrong.
Yes, and
For
10,000
lakh.
followers, I
हाँ.
mean subscribers, yeah.
So 1 lakh rupees will take a lot of time.
Yeah.
But here, it's just 1,000 people. Even if you have 10,000 followers, you can get 1,000 people to actually pay you. So what we say is these paywalls will then, how do you, so let's say someone is paying you, so I'll give you an example what happened before Rigi. These creators would collect money over Google Pay, someone would send a QR code or a UPI ID, then he will ask for a screenshot, and it will be a
Messy
2, 3,
process, yeah.
and the creator would himself be afraid of growth. If I'm getting 100 DMs, and now someone tells me, oh, you are going to get 500 DMs, I will be, even though it's adding
Yeah.
top line, but I will not be comfortable.
It's
Because
operationally a nightmare.
operational nightmare. So what we say is, you use our set of services and we will manage everything. So let's say access controlling, reminders, all these tools are actually available to enterprise solutions. There are companies, MarTech companies built around it. But creators don't have the technical and the monetary ability to engage in these tools. So what we said, okay, the 100 things, these are 5 things, 10 things that you just need to run a business as a solopreneur. You just come on a platform, host a group, we'll paywall it, we'll make sure who comes in, who goes out. Can you imagine in a WhatsApp group, if you have to, or in a Telegram group, you have to decide who comes in, who goes out, when does someone go out? If let's say someone buys a 1 month subscription, how will you figure out when does this guy go out? So this becomes a nightmare, and they started to deter from growing. So what we said, ki it's an all automated tool, and you just come, create a request, get a link, everything will be done. You just deliver quality content so that you get renewals and you are able to grow faster.
Sure.
You focus on what is you're doing right, that is content, not on operations. Let us handle operations. So that's what Rigi primarily does. So we do not interfere in content. We do not own content IP of for any creator. The content is for the creator. Content is by the creator. We are not bothered there. There are some community guidelines which you not breach, but
Sure.
apart from that, we're least bothered what someone is doing in their content.
Sure.
We don't have this skill set. Sometimes it's happened, we've wondered, why is this guy getting even paid? This content might not be even needed in life.
Sure.
It's available freely on YouTube. Why are people paying it? But that's the pull of a creator.
Sure.
He gets you that curated content. On YouTube, you might have to search 50 playlists to
Yeah.
get that content. He is already made it more
Condensed.
condensed and consumable. In 2 hours, you might get what you would have got in 2 weeks.
Sure.
So you pay up for that, a premium for that. And that's where these expert content creators actually add value to life.
Sure. So the way in which I also see this is nowadays with algorithm changes, that's quite frequent. Creators are at the mercy of the platform, right? And as we speak, Beer Biceps channel is also hacked today, and you never know. Again, probably Ranveer might get back his account, but not the others who've stuck in this mess, right? For creators to become platform agnostic, do you think? See, I'm sure Rigi is one such platform that's helping them be platform agnostic. But what are the other steps that a creator can take to ensure that they're not necessarily affected by just one single platform and the changes that happens in the platform?
See, what we ideally suggest to every creator is you have a whitelisted community with us. That's our pitch usually. Because one, it saves you from algorithm hack, matlab, what algorithm gods do. Second, it's your audience is more vulnerable to being. Matlab, see, in the end, an Instagram makes money only when you are engaging with, and if it see a user spends more time, and what happens is, let's say you are spending more time on a particular type of content, Instagram will show you 5 more content pieces
Similar to this.
similar to that. So he'll get automatically cross pollinated. So what we say is that you build a community. It'll this is your core community, your core fan base. The rest is fringe. Even if those fringe elements are removed by algorithm or you getting hacked, this core will always be with you. Because on YouTube you don't know who's following you.
Yeah.
You have analytics, but
Yeah.
you do not have anything else.
The individual person, you never know who that is.
मतलब it will say कि there are 50% of your 100K followers in Bangalore.
हाँ.
Now what do I do? मतलब,
Yeah.
there's so much less I can do
Yeah.
with this piece of information. I don't know anything else, whatever YouTube decides to give. But here you have much more understanding. You can even email them, right? If someone's joined your community, has shared an email with you, it's better, right? And that even if you get hacked or there's some peril in your life, what will happen is you will eventually grow back because your core is with you. You don't get bogged down so easily.
Sure.
So that's something what we tell creators, which resonates with them a lot.
Sure. So, with Rigi, right? I read one of your quotes earlier where you said, you know what, Rigi, there are 2 types of creators: creators that post for entertainment and creators that post for education. And with Rigi, you're focusing on the ones that focus on the education bit of it. One question, right? So I'm just curious. That's the reason why I am posing in this. Now the cool job for everybody is to become a creator.
Yeah.
So even your entertainment creators, the ones that have made it big, let's say 250K above, they can still come and teach that, hey, you know what, this is how you should ideally do a skit, and this is how you should ideally do this. And I'm sure you've thought through this, and that's the reason why you've chosen education. And you said, you know what, let entertainment be where it is, and let me go behind education. Can you help explain the decision?
So it's not education.
Uh-huh.
We say it's an expert rather than education. Education feels more classroom knowledge and all that. But for us, experts is more important. Expert here refers to. So I'll give you an example. There's this page, Humans of Bombay. They work with us. Fundamentally, it'll feel ki what would they be doing, right? So, but what they actually do, they run a course on how do you tell your story.
Okay.
So they have, even though they're an influencer or entertainment in a way, but they figured out what they're an expert in. So their course is going in that direction. So we believe that this is not a just iron curtain in between, between an influencer for entertainment and an expert. It is, you can be both.
Sure.
And we've seen it. Matlab, given, for example, Sharon, it's not just expert advice, he's an entertainment also.
Yeah.
Had you remove humor, that's then all textbook, na?
Correct.
You need that entertainment factor.
So that's edutainment basically.
Yes. So that expert thing, which makes substance to, which adds substance to your content, but in an entertaining way. That's where our core group lies, because they have a broader audience, they are experts, and the value proposition for the end user is also clear. From being, they know, right? So Indian people are very value conscious people. They want to know, if them spending $100, what am I getting out of it?
Out of it, yeah.
Huh?
Am I squeezing the last bit?
Well, even not the last bit, but is there something?
Yeah.
So the platforms in the West like Patreon have not been cracked in India because we are not there yet, where we would just tip someone. If some band is playing great in a pub where you've gone, you'll never go and tip them. You'll like, great music, I liked it. You'll give a good round of applause, but you'll never pay them a tip. So that's not a culture. Because when you're paying, you need something more.
Yeah.
Right? You might pay for a song request, but not in general appreciation.
Yeah.
So that's culture is not there in India. So just that entertainment guy also doesn't work with Rigi because the value add is not clear for the audience, so they don't pay. So for us, we work with all sets, but not the core entertainment. So yeah.
So, with I think with share chat and all the other newly formed social chat rooms and all. So you see these digital coins, digital gifting that is sort of picking up, right?
Yes.
So from what you mentioned here to what is happening on ground, so there's a slight dissonance that's out there, right? So how do you see that, or how do you see that behavior? Is it a niche out there specific to that zone, or
I think there are only few segments, but like I mentioned, right? You can tip someone for a song request, even though you're tipping an entertainer. But there's a request attached.
okay?
You like the song, but the resistance is still there. Maybe the newer generation that's coming in, the Gen Zs, the Gen Alphas, as they're called, they are more, they would like to appreciate in terms monetary. But still, the largest section of the Indian population is still not comfortable. Matlab, if I tell my parents, कि I'm planning to buy Coldplay tickets, they're still fumbled कि 10, 20K, why are you spending on a concert ticket? But whereas, or at least Coldplay is a known band name. I told them it's an indie band. They too would have freaked out. What has happened to my kids? So yeah, that change is coming. It's not there yet.
It's not
So
mainstream
green
as well.
shoots are
Yeah.
there.
Sure. So, in our conversation, you mentioned about Sharan Hegde, right? So, with the recent changes that SEBI has brought in terms of influencers specifically, how do you think the laws that are related to influencers affect what they can do in terms of monetization? I'm not necessarily talking about what Rigi is doing, but in general, in terms of their revenue opportunities.
See, regulators in the country just want one thing. If it's an advertisement, tell your people it's an advertisement. They are bothered about the general welfare of the public at large, right? So let's say today SEBI comes out and says ki don't tell stocks to influencers, don't recommend there. Because there have been cases in India and the West where because of malified intentions, individuals have resorted, because of their power of influence, have resorted to unfair means.
Pump and dump.
Pump and dump, as you call it. So we said, the regulator is concerned about that. And people, because they're influenced by them, big influencers were involved in these crypto kind of ICO tokens
Correct.
in the US. And it was fairly evident they made their money, but general public lost their money.
Yeah.
So regulators are just concerned about this. Ki if you, and they can't just go and check everyone.
Correct.
Ki, oh, you are doing with great intention. Oh, he's doing with bad intention. So for them, they have to draw a line. So they said, so regulator in India, SEBI, has clearly mentioned ki we are okay with you telling people how to analyze stocks, but just don't give a name. Don't tell stocks.
Sure.
Don't push a particular equity or a derivative, because sometimes people might feel it's easy money and they might get trapped. So that is there. So I personally don't believe it's in the. It may be implemented badly, but their intentions are good.
Sure.
They want a more transparent system. So yeah, so ठीक है, it happens.
So do you think bodies like ASCII and SEBI, the ones that sort of bring this up, right? How do you think? What do you think would be a better way for us to implement this? I'm not saying that it's not being done right. It is being done right, and the intentions are very clear.
Yes.
Which I think both of us agree on. What I'm trying to what I'm trying to get to is, how do you ensure that there is mass complaints of what is needed?
See, the two parts to it. How do they make it better? I think more stakeholder, a wider stakeholder network, discussions with them will make sure, and more from in the start with a guideline kind
Sure.
of thing. Please don't do this.
Hmm.
Clearer guidelines are always helpful
Hmm.
because then you know, कि, oh, you said this, you're crossing this, you should be penalized. But in the end, I feel it will be the platforms who will, because platforms are easier to catch hold of.
Yeah.
मतलब likes of Facebook are easier to be summoned by the government of India rather than an individual. Easier to catch hold of. They have their मतलब you don't know, right? Some influencer said something and on an Instagram reel. Whom does Facebook government of India go to? There's no contact.
Yeah.
There's just a video, right? You don't know if it's real. And with AI coming in, you just don't know.
Yeah.
But platforms know where it originated from. So in the end, platforms will play uh, a larger part in the policing of these things because they have the ultimate control. If a platform decides this video should not be circulated, I don't think it is possible to stop it. Technology is so advanced, they can figure it out. Ki this does not go to the masses. The Facebook ads engine itself, you can target it so beautifully. Ki whom do you want to target? So the other way is also possible, I feel.
So then this gets into the debate of free speech versus censorship, right? So
This is a tough one. See, nothing comes in like there's no absolutes. Uh, we live in a society. It is good to follow rules of the society.
Sure.
Otherwise, it will just be chaos.
anarchy everywhere. Yeah.
Yes. Matlab, otherwise, it will be just too chaotic. We have to draw some lines.
Line, correct.
Some lines are always better, right? Otherwise, let's say you are hungry, you break into a McDonald's and eat a burger. Why is that wrong, right? I was hungry, I ate.
My intention was right.
My intention was right. But yes, it's a tough one. Not definitely not easy. It's there on the top. But it's what it is. Even if I might be a promoter of free speech personally, but I will not go out and say anything under the sun, right?
Yeah.
If let's say me sitting here in a podcast, there's a norm to it. If I come here in uh, a what call it a vest here, and you will feel uncomfortable. Well, yeah, I am so dressed, everyone's so prepared, and there is this guy is just sitting here, and just the norm is broken.
Yeah.
So norms are good to be challenged, otherwise change will never happen. But at the same time, uh, everyone knows where the
Where to draw the line,
Haan.
yeah.
Well, I think it's letter and spirit kind of a thing also. Ki intentions also matter.
Sure.
Matlab, if I'm just creating rowdiness, free speech should be curtailed. I'm just shouting outside the building.
Yeah.
You should kill him. This free speech
This is not free speech, yeah.
It's qualified speech.
Yeah.
Free speech. So yeah, you shouldn't do harm to anyone else. So yeah, I think the Constitution of India gives you that freedom. In India, I think we have good checks on free speech, and the Constitution and the courts have been very open about its interpretation. They understand ki was it just spirit of law you were breaking or the letter.
Yeah.
So yeah, so justice has its own ways to come out.
I mean, a very thought through answer, I would say. So again, coming back to Rigi, live commerce, or let's say live streaming rather, is something that is picking up in a massive way, both globally and in India. So where do you think Rigi is looking at that space, and you think your creators are also moving towards that zone?
So we've not ventured into live commerce. Our thesis on that is still not. We want the space to evolve first, because one thing what we've observed is because our focus has been more digital services. We work with creators who do digital services. In live commerce, China is a phenomenal example where everyone's seen and heard of those success stories. That one guy who just on Singles Day sells
Lipstick.
$1 billion worth of lipsticks. Right? It was phenomenal. But At the same time, the right now we're just seeing we've not exhausted the current ways of monetization, and e-commerce itself is not that mature. China is a more matured e-commerce. So I feel once we figure out, once exhaustion comes in, then live commerce will pick in. Because I still think a lot of influencers also get it wrong. Uh, a tech influencer, if promoting lipsticks, hmm, these kinds of examples in India happen.
Huh.
And I think it's sometimes the brand managers also who get it wrong.
Sure.
They will ask the wrong influencers to promote wrong things, and it becomes hilarious. And you talk to creators, you'll hear stories left, right, and center, and they're just hilarious. So what we feel is कि once this right set of people who are given right set of products with right sort of incentives, then live commerce kind of a model. The people attempting it in
Sure.
India. There's this company called Wishlink, if you've heard of.
Yeah, yeah.
Good friends. So they are not attempting live commerce, but a more influencer-led commerce.
Creator-led commerce.
Creator-led commerce, as they call it. So we'll see how that pans out.
So what I'm more interested is I'm still not able to figure out what is actually ticking in your live commerce or live streaming space, right? If I am to just take your example from 2017, is it just the rawness that we are again going back to in terms
Your
of like?
authenticity is what is important. Matlab, an influencer will be trustworthy only if he is giving truthful advice. Otherwise, it becomes an advertisement. So, if an influencer has the power to say, "Oh, this pen does not write well," and or this lipstick is not great, tastes shitty. So the bands get offended a lot of times. But if he is just genuinely selling it on live commerce, I think people will love that. And I believe that's what been a major factor for rise of influencers, because all the while they were always these before brand endorsements came in big way. All these creators were people followed them for honest reviews. Ki, oh, I'm buying this car. How does it even feel to drive? Because I can't just go and test drive every car, right?
Correct.
I'll first shortlist on seeing YouTube videos. So, because I will not drive it for 500 kilometers. That guy, car reviewer guy, will drive it for 1000 kilometers. He'll take it from maybe a Delhi to a Kanyakumari trip. He'll give you an exhaustive review. Ki, haan, after 1000 kilometers, it does not feel right, or it does amazing job. And the service was good. And the whole bit,
Yeah.
which you cannot draw in one instant.
Correct.
Half an hour test drive, what will you draw up? So that's what I feel. Ki this honesty of influencers, not influencers, the right word is key opinion leaders, as they're called globally.
Yeah, KOLs.
KOLs is what is important. And people who do justice to this KOL, they will keep on rising. Their audience knows. And what we tell our creators is, once you see, in the end, it's coming about money, right? If you have money in place, so you can't say, ki, haan, you got, let's say, 50,000 bucks to endorse a particular brand. You can't go and say, ki, oh, this tastes bad or this is not, smells bad.
Yeah, yeah.
You can't do that. But what we say is, ki, if you are doing this community, white label community, or your own community, paywall community, here you can be brutally honest.
Yeah, yeah.
Because money is out of concentration.
Because they pay you for your brutal opinions.
They know ki you are telling the truth.
Yeah.
We paid you the money.
Now you tell me the truth.
Now tell me the truth. So there's this creator talks about food and
Okay.
food and health literacy a lot. I don't know. I was having a conversation with him and asked him, do food brands really want to work with you? He's like, yes. And he picks his own brands.
Sure.
He's like, I will pick whosoever I want, whom I believe in. And that guy has seen phenomenal growth in the last year and a half. And does health literacy, masterclasses, and whatnot. And his plans are big. So that's what we realized. Ki people want to associate with people who are honest. Honesty is not lost virtue. People might say being dishonest pays more, but in the long scheme of things, honesty pays along.
Sure.
So yes.
So this whole creator economy space, right? I think was booming even globally, post pandemic 2020 2022 types. Every VC wanted to just pump in money, and again, both globally and in India, we saw a lot of creator tools, creator companies, all of this coming up. And suddenly we saw, oh, you know what? All of this is a bubble. It's burst. And now it's not the same case. There are very few companies that still stand. Credit to where it's due, like Rigi and probably few others in the US.
Yes, yes.
Why do you think this bubble happened? And do you think there will be a revival going forward? And what is the reason for the VC interest drying up in the space?
See, VC's interest is a very cyclical thing. There'll be two type of businesses that a VC fund funds. One is more trend driven, and the other is more fundamental. In to trend ones keep on going. Sometimes edtech is the flavor of the day. Sometimes AI is the current flavor of the
Yeah,
day.
yeah.
Sometimes it's creator economy. Sometimes it's fintech. Everything you'll get funded. But there'll be bets they will do on a more fundamental question. Ki, oh, what is the value add? So there have been instances where something worked in the US, someone would just blatantly copy it in India, and in the end, 1 year later, the VC, the founder, realizes the US company didn't perform, shut down. So its Indian counterpart was supposed to shut down, right? Or either they pivot.
Yeah, yeah.
So you need to solve a problem. For anyone who is building up, you need to solve a problem. There should be a reason why someone uses you. There should be. There have been products, how do you call them, but which were just fancy. Could have been totally avoided.
Huh.
Uh, There was this person who's like, I'll be make a billing software, let's say, for creators, and we see something. Well, this is an example.
Sure.
So billing software for creators. Creators are solopreneurs. They don't need billing. I'm like, if they grow big, first problem is they should earn money.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's first solve the fundamental problem.
Correct.
Then there are companies like Zoho who do accounting for everyone.
Yeah.
They can just do it in a go. And third is agencies, talent managers will issue invoice.
Yeah.
It's not a rocket science. Don't fund creator billing tools. Either solve for agencies, either solve for how to earn more money,
Yeah, yeah.
or develop SaaS for them. So you need to figure out the real problem. Don't a lot of times what creators themselves are attempting businesses, they go wrong is they feel it's a problem for them. They've not researched the market properly.
Okay.
They feel ki it's my problem.
So it will also be the problem for everybody.
For every creator. You can go wrong there. You had a billing problem. You did not have a good accountant. So that's why you faced billing issues. In delivering invoice to a brand.
Yeah.
You did not have right documentation in place. So that's what I'm trying to tell you. Ki, you people pick problems which they feel are important. And that's when things go south. And that's where investments also go wrong a lot of times. If their value prop is simple, clear, people will. And coming to your question about will this trend come back again?
back.
See, frenzied trend may or may not come back. But if you are building a good business with a clear insight, even today creator companies will get funded. If someone has a real good, I can connect you to 5 VCs who will be happy to fund you if the value prop is that strong enough.
Solid. Yeah.
So yeah, that's there.
So let's say if you had to put out word out into the world and say, you know what, Everybody is doing so many things in the creator economy. Why aren't anyone solving this problem? What would that problem be?
See, I think creator economy still in India is at a space. It's growing. It's growing faster than anyone can imagine. People are creating content left, right, and center. Even in tiny villages where there might be broken internet, there'll be a person with a 4G smartphone, and he is making content. He'll upload it slowly, slowly, slowly. Then infrastructure has come in India. But now is how do you make them earn more money? The first thing is you solve for affluence, not even affluence, basics,
Necessity.
necessities. For him to become a full-time creator, let's say that trucker guy we were talking about earlier, if he is not making his lifestyle, do you think he'll be able to follow his passion? So first is how do these creators make more money? Then once a problem of plenty comes in, then they will use. So either it is productivity. Companies like InVideo have solved where they reduce editing time because editors is always in shortage. Then or you make them more money or something just which solves a problem for them. You are spending disproportionate amount of time or money in something which is becoming a blocker for you. That is a problem where people will need to focus on. Like I'll give you an example. There's this company. They create an AI model of you. You can go and create your own AI model.
Okay.
It'll talk like you. A lot of times you do not have the time and bandwidth to create footages, short footages. You can do it very easily. It's good, right?
Yeah.
You are sitting, you're not well, but you know you have to push out content. And very cheap. $20 a month.
Okay.
That cheap. You go and say, you created a model. I will create 10 reels from this. Obviously, if some parts are not great, you'll edit it out.
Correct.
But good to go, right? So AI is using AI to solve pain points is a good thing.
Fair.
Because a lot of things, well, AI, the best thing AI does is it solves the cold start problem. People think using AI you can just create scripts, but I don't think that will work. It'll give you a good first draft.
Yeah. Instead of staring at a blank paper, you at least have something to stare into.
I consider AI as a good intern for myself. A smart intern.
Yeah.
It'll give me bad ideas, shitty ideas, but in the end, they're good ideas at least.
Yeah.
I'm just not staring in the room, oh, whom should I go to?
No, I'm the manager who picks and chooses from the executive, not the executive who writes. No.
Yes. So I'll give it good context, good large enough paragraphs. I'll just randomly type and it'll throw me out 5 ideas. One of them is workable. Then I'll drill down and then you ideate on that. But it's good to have experience and figure out what you want to build on.
Fair.
So seeing problems, don't just imagine problems. They might not be even problems.
Fair.
People need to think on that.
I think we're coming to the end of our episode, and my final question is 2017, before you even entered into the creator economy, you would have certain constructs about, oh, you know what, this is how it's going to be. And now you're into this probably neck deep or even forehead deep. What constructs of yours you felt, oh, you know what, I probably misunderstood it back then. Now that's not the case.
See, if I have to travel back in time, I'll become a content creator for sure. Because I would have started a content journey back then. As it's not key, I'll not do all of this again. I would have done content by the side.
By the side.
Because doing content would give me this community of like-minded people in a particular niche. As I said, I would have figured out my niche by now. Hopefully, 8 years. But yeah, because that community is it can act as a reflection. It can help you bounce off ideas. It can. I'll give you an example. Let's say if you have to hire an intern today, it is so hard. There are so many tools. You cannot get the right audience. Distribution is crucial. Even if as a builder, distribution first set of 100 customers, as they call
Where do I get it from?
Where do I get it? If you are a content creator, you have a community. They are at least, they'll be willing to share an honest feedback. So I would definitely do a podcast in 2017. Back when it was not that cool, for sure, an insightful one. But yeah, jokes apart, I would love. Matlab, there are things which I've understood. We've wrongly understood also. We thought they were a problem, but they weren't a problem.
Okay.
So I wouldn't definitely want to do them again.
Sure. I think it was great chatting with you, Ananya. Such a sport.
you.
Thank you. Thank you for watching the video. If you found this useful, please do share it with someone who might find this valuable. Thank you.